There's all of you, I'm sure, have heard of crowdfunding. There's all kinds. I mean, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of different crowdfunding sites. And when the Jobs Act got passed, they basically created the ability to not only just um, send money in or buy the product, if you will, but they now have equity um, crowdfunding sites, and some of them do both. So I put Indiegogo in here because that's my personal favorite. And they do all kinds of things. They do a lot of tech stuff, and they definitely do a lot of startups. So that's why I like the Indiegogo model. All of these charge something, and this one charges 5%, and all of them will charge some sort of card processing fee. This one's pretty typical, 2.9% plus 30% of the transaction. This gets a lot of traffic, and you want to make sure if you're going to use crowdfunding, go to a site that gets a lot of traffic. And this one offers both reward and equity. They use a company called Microventures. You have to be what they call an accredited investor to actually provide equity in any of these sites. Accredited investors are classified based on assets that don't include your home or your income. It has to be like $1 million in assets, not counting your home, $200,000 in income. It's actually not that hard to qualify. The thing about Indiegogo, though, if you want to raise $10,000 and you raise $9,500, you don't get to keep it. It all goes back to the original investors. So it's an all or nothing model. Patreon, I love for people that are creative. So Patreon is a subscription-based service. So let's say you're a musician, um, and you're going to post a bunch of videos of your music. You would use a site like Patreon, and then you would try to get as many subscribers as you possibly can. And it doesn't have to be musicians. I've seen comics on there. I've seen artists on there. I've seen photographers and on there posting their photos. It's definitely for the creative types. And what Patreon charges is 8 to 12% of what your monthly income is plus processing fees. Kickstarter, you've all heard of. Their motto is they bring creative projects to life. I was going to try to find, there's been a couple of actual famous movies that have been financed through Kickstarter. And thus their logo or their phrase of helping bring creative projects to life. They have a lot of stuff on Kickstarter, but that's what they're known for. And they've probably raised the most amount of money of any of these sites. Again, it's a 5% fee plus the processing fees, and they are also an all or nothing model. So if you want to raise $1 million and you don't get $1 million, it all goes back to the investors and you have to start all over. So these are the all or nothing models. You should you should really think about under estimating what you need. You want to over subscribe or over invest. Otherwise, you have to start all over again. The other thing to know about crowdfunding, and here's just a couple of more examples. Fundable, that's another one that you can get either a reward or equity. And I brought Fundable because a lot of the veterans that we've worked with, they're very altruistic in some of the projects and things that they want to do. You know, they want to do something that has either a community impact or they're selling personal products. That sort of thing. And so Fundable is a good funding site for that kind of business. Again, though, it's an all or nothing thing. And what they do is they have 20,000 angel investors in some pool. And what they do is they're sort of a broker between your business and this angel network. So My only caveat with equity net is most angel investors are not going to invest in something that's not going to have a huge growth potential, which generally means some sort of tech, um, or health, tech, that sort of thing. Here's what you need to consider. Every dollar you raise is revenue, and it's going to be taxable. What people often do is they post something on the crowdfunding site and then they go and maybe they rehash it or re-energize it every quarter. You can't do that. You actually have to have you have to have your network pretty well established before you even post. That means getting as many followers as you can on Instagram or whatever you're using. You want to get as many followers or connections that you can on LinkedIn. You want to have as much of a large email list as you possibly can. And then you're going to be constantly reminding people that you have this on the crowdfunding site and to please share, please share, please share so that you get multiple hits. I said there's like tons of these sites. Make sure that you get the traffic that you want and that your business is matching what they're known for. Because if I'm going to go on, if I'm going to sell a tech product or I want to invest in a tech product, I'm going to go in Indiegogo. If I want to look and maybe start subscribing to a band I've heard, I'm going on Patreon. So you have to make sure that you're going to get the visitors that match what you are selling. Also make sure you get insurance. And that goes for everything, no matter what you're doing, you have to, at a minimum, have liability insurance. So you don't want to go crowdfunding, you don't have friends or a family. So there's other options. And this is specialty lending, which there are way more now than there used to be. It's basically sort of a fintech world because you can make a lot of money as a financer. Anyway, you can get specialty loans uh, through for anything, equipment, cash advances, small business loans, asset-based loans, factoring. The interesting thing about factoring is not a lot of people use them. I found only 4% of them use this, but the reality is what they do is um, you cannot you cannot borrow against an invoice. You have to have the actual receivable. But what a factor will do is buy the invoice for you from you at a discount. So you don't have to wait to get the cash. So if you're selling something to a business and you're generating receivables, this is actually a pretty good way to start your business. They do cost more, but they're still cheaper than giving up your equity. You have to at least have your business started. I forget, each one of these kinds of specialty lenders require a different period of time, but a lot of them require at least 6, 12 months that you're up and running. I put a couple of examples in here. These were some of the larger ones, Fora, On Deck, Aeson, Uplift Capital. They're very fast. They basically are going to credit score you personally, and that's how you're going to get the money from them. So if you don't have a great personal credit score, you probably can't go this route. And then there's the SBA loans, the 7A loans. Those go through traditional banks. These are the biggest. Live Oak is actually the largest SBA lender in the country. These are the top four: Huntington, ReadyCap, US Bank. The way these work is I want to borrow $100,000. I'm going to go into my Wells Fargo branch and ask for my $100,000 and tell them I want the SBA guarantee. The SBA will guarantee 90% of that $100,000. They're going to take personal guarantees. They're probably going to put a lien on any equity you have in your home, but you're going to get your $100,000. And that might be the only way the bank loans you the money. Is it takes a long time. to usually, I mean, when I was doing them, it could take as much as 90 days, unless you go to a bank that is what they call a super lender, which means the SBA has basically pre-approved that bank to, once they approve the loan, it's already approved by the SBA. It's sort of automatic. That's why you want to go to banks that do a lot of SBA lending. So you're probably not going to, if you're a USAA, you're not going to be able to get one very efficiently or effectively from a credit union. They do have special programs for veterans that basically discount the upfront fees. You have to be for profit, of course, and they require that you exhaust not all, it says all, but most of your personal resources first. You definitely have to have skin in the game. And you have to be ineligible for a regular loan. So then, so now your business is up and running and you have 3 years of profits. Then you can go to the bank and get a regular loan. You can actually also do that with a startup if you have a very strong personal financial statement. But another way to actually make it easier for you to get traditional banking is franchising. Like buying a franchise helps you not only with specialty financing, because there are a lot of equipment lenders that will loan money to certain franchises at a fairly decent rate. But also when you buy a franchise, because they're a known entity, especially a top tiered franchise, it's easier to get a loan. Right. They're a proven track record. I mean, it's much easier to get along. Also, and veterans have, they also get discounts on fees for buying a franchise. I put capital in here, but most people aren't going to be able to access this. But I put it in here because let's say you've developed an app. That kind of startup is going to, it has to be high growth. And so but if you're doing something like that, then I would recommend you look at venture capital. First round seed money on average is about $2 million. Um, they do charge the carry fee, which is very controversial, of 10%. And they take a percentage of the money when you exit. Again, these are things like software, health tech, technology, anything that's super fast growing, a venture firm is going to be interested in. And certain venture firms specialize in certain investments. Like some venture firms only want to work in gaming. So like let's say you've developed an online game, then you would want to find the venture firms that are investing in online games. I put this last slide in, I updated it. So these are all good links. But SCORE is run through the SBA, and it's basically a group of former CEOs or executives, and they offer mentoring services for free. And then the SBA, and that if you're really interested in the 7A or the 504 program, I would go on the SBA website and it gives you way more detail. There's also a whole directory of angels. Angels are like venture firms, only they're individuals. So they're going to be looking for the same thing. They're going to be looking for high growth, something they can exit. All the crowdfunding sites you'd ever want to see are on that particular link. And then there's the VA actually has a link for entrepreneurs.